Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today for the webinar. We are super excited to take you through Zluri AM, which is the unified access management platform for all SaaS applications. So my name is Aditi. I am the Director of Strategic Initiatives at Zluri. I will be giving you a quick overview of what are some of the key feature capabilities that we have launched as part of the Zluri Access Management module. And I also have Rohit with me on the call today. So Rohit is our product head, and he will be giving you all a live demo of Zluri AM and walk you all through some of those features and all of the things that it can unlock for you. Okay. So first, to get started, let me give you a quick introduction. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Sorry, hold on. Apologies, some kind of a technical glitch. 1 second. Yes. Okay. So apologies for that. So to start off with, I would like to give you all a quick introduction about Zluri. So Zluri offers a unified platform for SaaS management, access management, and access reviews for your SaaS application stack. We have 200 plus customers across 25 countries globally, and we are recognized by leading players like Gartner and Forrester. So without further ado, let's get started about what exactly Zluri has in store with our access management module. So gone are the days when tools were centrally managed and IT and security teams had tight control over all the applications and data within the organization's ecosystem. Today, we are living in an era of SaaS applications. IT and security teams now only control a fraction of the entire application stack. There are now multiple owners for different tools across different teams and departments. Data is residing in silos, and IT and security teams are struggling to answer who has access to what applications within the organization today. On top of it, every SaaS application has its own set of roles, permissions, policies, and whatnot. So today, with so many users in an organization, hundreds of SSO groups, a never-ending list of tools, it's nearly impossible to manage all these access complexities manually. Here, as you all can see on this slide, we've tried to highlight some of the key pain points which we keep hearing from our customers and from several other IT and security teams in the market today. So as you'll see, I'm sure you all will resonate with many of the challenges mentioned here. It ends up taking hours for IT teams to onboard new employees manually to applications. On top of it, they keep getting too many access requests on Jira or any other ITSM tools. It's a struggle to modify access, especially to mid-life cycle department changes. They don't even know how many users have admin access versus not on different applications. And finally, even for ex-employees, they struggle with tasks like transferring data or even figuring out whether ex-employees still have access to any applications within the organization. And this is just like a subset of the challenges that IT teams are facing on a daily basis. Clearly, they are losing visibility, they're losing control over the application stack. And what this has resulted in is there are increased security breaches because of limited visibility into access risks that an organization faces. There is poor employee experience because many times employees just have to keep waiting while IT teams attend to their tickets for software access and whatnot. And on top of it, IT teams end up spending hours on tedious manual efforts, and it's a waste of their productivity. And it also results in a lot of errors, which can very easily be avoided. So access management is clearly broken today for SaaS applications, but it doesn't need to be that way. There is an answer to this. Today, IT and security teams might be at the bottom rung of the visibility and control graph. But with Zluri, you can now move to the top rung of this graph and get 360-degree access visibility and control over your SaaS stack. So how exactly does Zluri enable this? So Zluri today integrates seamlessly with your identity provider, with your HRMS tools like Bamboo HR, so on and so forth, with all the SCIM apps in your ecosystem, as well as the non-SCIM apps in your ecosystem and your ITSM provider. Once we have integrated with your tech stack, we uncover the access fabric of your organization. So what do I mean by that? We help you identify all the users who exist in your ecosystem, both internal and external. We tell you what applications they have access to, and we also tell you what their entitlements are to those applications. Once teams have this visibility into their access fabric, this enables them to control all access. That means we can enable zero-touch onboarding for your applications. We enable secure user deprovisioning. We can streamline access reviews. We can also enable automated access requests. And finally, we also help you manage access beyond SCIM. So in short, with Zluri, you can enable granular access control for all your applications, whether they're SCIM or non-SCIM, in a single platform itself. I will now quickly touch upon some of the key features within each of these functionalities, that is zero-touch onboarding, user deprovisioning, access request, and access beyond SCIM. Post which, Rohit will give you a live demo of how these things actually play out on our platform. So first, starting with zero-touch onboarding. Several IT teams today end up manually onboarding new employees to applications in their organization. And the reason they have to do that is because their existing SSO provider just does not offer user provisioning capabilities. And this is specifically true if their SSO provider is Google Workspace. But with Zluri, you can enable zero-touch onboarding and supercharge the capabilities of your SSO. So you don't need to rip out your SSO. Zluri integrates seamlessly with your identity provider and your existing tech stack. And how it works is, let's say, for example, Joshua is a new employee in the sales team, and he has been marked for onboarding in the HRMS system. So an entry has been created for him in the HR tool. Let's say that's Workday for your organization. As soon as Joshua is added to Workday, that acts as a trigger for Zluri. So Zluri picks that trigger up and it automatically provisions access for Joshua to the required set of applications. On top of this, you can also set different conditions within Zluri. So let's say, for example, Joshua has been added to Workday on the 1st of March, but his joining isn't till maybe a week later. So you don't want him to get access to company applications before his actual joining date, which is, say, 7th of March. With Zluri, you can actually set these different conditions and rules to delay the joining and also get a lot more flexibility. These kind of capabilities typically are not available in the existing SSO or LCM tools in the market. But Zluri offers you this flexibility and more to enable seamless onboarding for employees. And as you can imagine, this not only delivers a great employee experience, but ends up saving tons of time for the IT teams as well. In fact, some of our customers have reported that they have saved more than 500 hours in a matter of less than 6 months through Zluri's automated provisioning capabilities. Okay. Then moving on to secure user deprovisioning. So today, typically how IT teams and security teams deprovision users is they usually go and deactivate the former employee's SSO profile. But this is not a foolproof way for offboarding your users. Because what happens is ex-employees can still continue to have access to company data through applications which were not controlled via SSO. That's a big security breach. On top of it, many times IT and security teams are not even aware which applications the employee had access to. So it's very difficult for them to go and figure out, okay, which apps do I even offboard this user from? And it becomes a manual process for them. On top of it, there are many other operational challenges as well. So for example, at the time of user deprovisioning, you also need to transfer the data associated with that employee. But if, say, for example, you end up removing the user's account first, that data can get deleted. And even if, say, you do remember that, hey, I have to transfer the data, most lifecycle management tools in the market, they don't offer automated actions for transferring the data associated with the ex-employee or setting up email forwarding. These are tasks that the IT team has to go in and still do manually, which results in a lot of grunt work for them. But with Zluri, secure user deprovisioning can be a piece of cake. I'll tell you how that works in the platform today. So let's say Sam Scott is an employee who is leaving your organization. All you need to do is go into the Zluri platform. You can click on Sam Scott's user profile within Zluri. Once you do that, you will get an option to offboard Sam Scott. As soon as you click on offboard user, Zluri will automatically create an offboarding playbook for Sam. And this will be pre-populated with all the applications that Sam had access to within your organization. Now, you don't need to go in and manually figure out that, hey, which apps did Sam have access to? Where do I need to go and deprovision his access? Zluri does that for you. And as you can see here, on top of pre-populating this playbook, we also help you automate a lot of granular actions in addition to just removing the user. So for Salesforce, for example, you can transfer all the leads associated with Sam Scott to someone else in the organization. You can set up email forwarding. You can remove his role, disable the portal. There is a lot more that you can automate via Zluri, which enables you to securely deprovision the user without any hassles and without any worries. On top of this, we also have another way in which you can automatically deprovision users. So you have the option of setting up different offboarding policies. So what that means is you can set a trigger that, hey, as soon as a user status is marked as inactive in the SSO, I want Zluri to automatically run an offboarding playbook and deprovision the user's access. So here you didn't even need to go and select the user and click on offboard and get that playbook populated. Here, because you have that playbook already set up, it will run even while you're sleeping as soon as the user is marked for offboarding in the HRMS system or in the SSO provider. Okay. So another big concern which we keep hearing from our customers and from different teams in the market, and I'm sure you all will resonate with this, is managing access for non-SCIM applications. So today, IT teams are struggling with provisioning access for non-SCIM applications. The process is completely manual and very clunky. And the reason for that is that most SSO and lifecycle management tools in the market today, they are built on a SCIM protocol. So what that means is, as long as an application has a SCIM connector built in, the LCM tool can automatically add a user or remove a user from that application. However, if an app does not have any SCIM connectors, there you have no such capabilities available within the LCM tool. And in those cases, the IT teams have to onboard or offboard the user from the non-SCIM applications manually. However, Zluri helps you overcome this limitation. And many of our customers actually have integrated us with their SSO for this exact reason. So how Zluri works is, Zluri goes beyond SCIM connectors. We have direct API integrations with applications. So as long as an application has an API available, even though it does not have a SCIM connector, we can automate user provisioning for those applications. And not just that, we also have SCIM actions available via SSO. So what that means is you can bring together access control, not just for your non-SCIM applications, but also for your SCIM applications in the same platform. So this really streamlines things for the IT teams. You'll have just one dashboard, one platform to go to for managing all your access. And here again, you don't need to rip out anything from your existing tech stack. We work very well on top of your SSO, your ITSM provider, even if you have an LCM. Like some people, they already have an LCM tool, but because the LCM tool cannot manage non-SCIM applications, they use Zluri on top of that. Yes. Another capability which Zluri offers, which most other LCM tools do not because they are SCIM based, is the ability to have fine-grained access control. So what do I mean by that? So even for SCIM applications, where adding users to an application or removing users from an application is automated via your lifecycle management tool, it basically stops right there. There is not much else that you can automate through your LCM tool, because that's all that SCIM connectors enable today. You can just add users or remove them from applications or SSO groups. In case if you all want to do more granular actions, like for example, assigning roles to the user or assigning them certain projects, tickets, repositories in different applications, that's something which LCM tools, SSOs built on SCIM connectors, they cannot do today. But again, because Zluri has direct API connections with hundreds of applications, and we have more than 2,000 workflow actions built in, you can automate a lot of granular tasks in addition to adding and removing users from applications and SSO groups. So we have here shown you two examples, one for Google Workspace and one for GitHub. And you can see for yourself the different kind of actions that users can set up within our platform and automate it out. So for Google Workspace, we are not only adding the user to a certain group, but we can also update their Chrome OS device. We can add them to specific org units. We can reset their passwords, send them emails, so on and so forth. And similarly for GitHub, you can assign the users to a team. You can add them to specific repositories. You can also convert members to outside collaborators. There are a lot more things that you can do. So this is just a snapshot of what we mean by fine-grained access control that goes beyond SCIM connectors. Okay. And one added bonus is that say there are certain tasks or certain actions that you cannot automate via Zluri today. What we do is we have integrations with ITSM tools like Jira. And how that works is, let's assume there is a task which cannot be automated. It has to be assigned to someone in your organization to be completed. Let's say it's assigning a license for a certain application. So what Zluri does is we convert these manual tasks into Jira tickets. And they also get assigned to the respective task owner. So you can see here we are seamlessly integrating with your existing ways of working. The respective task owner will get the Jira ticket and then they can go and complete that action. So they don't need to come in separately, get used to a new platform like Zluri and figure it out. Yes. Another feature which we have launched very recently is automated access request. This was in huge demand from our customers, and very rightly so, because as you all might know, a vast majority of IT tickets today are related to software access, which results in a lot of manual work for IT teams. So what Zluri has done is you can now set up multi-step approval workflows for access requests. We send notifications to managers within Slack itself to approve or revoke access for the requested user. And once the approvals are in place, we also auto-provision access to those applications through the Zluri platform itself. So all of this is very seamlessly set up and very much automated. Rohit will give you a quick sneak peek of what access request looks like today, but we also have a detailed webinar coming up just on access request. And the main reason is this feature has actually been in a lot of demand. So we thought it deserves justice to have its own separate webinar, but we will give you a quick sneak peek of what that looks like today. Yes, so building on access request, one other thing which we keep hearing is a big pain point is streamlining access for contractors and external workers. This again is a huge challenge for IT and security teams to manage today. So how Zluri helps you on this front is, number one, we help you discover who are the external users and contractors in your ecosystem today, and what are the applications that they have access to. Number two, we also give you the ability to limit their access to a specific period of time. So for example, if you know that John is joining in as an external consultant just for a time span of 30 days, you can provision access just for 30 days. There is no need to give him blanket approval for all your applications for an infinite period of time. And then finally, we also help you identify external users who have overprivileged access, and you can revoke their permissions within the same platform itself. So these are some of the capabilities and functionalities we've built to help you streamline access for contractors to ensure that they remain productive, and at the same time also limit the security threats that your organization might face if external parties continue to have overprivileged access for an extended period of time. Yes. The final feature which I wanted to cover, and I promise after this, I'll be handing it over to Rohit so that he can actually show you what this looks like on the platform, is access reviews. So this is something that we launched last quarter, and we have seen tremendous traction for this already. We actually have a separate webinar coming up for access reviews as well. So I will not be covering this in detail right now, but all I'll say is that access reviews, number one, helps organizations uncover risky access within their company and also remediate that risky access. And it also helps companies stay audit ready for compliances like SOC 2, SOX, ISO, and so on and so forth, because user access reviews is a key requirement for all of these compliances. So with Zluri, we help you generate audit ready reports instantly from the platform, which serves as a good evidence for your upcoming compliances. And we also help you safeguard your organization against overprivileged and risky access. Okay, so now I'm going to hand it over to Rohit so that he can walk you through the platform and give you a live demo. After that, if you all have any questions, you all can put it into the Q&A chat box, and we'll take it up after the demo is done.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Hello, everyone. I'm Rohit. I'll be happy to walk you through some of the features that Aditi just went through and show how this looks on our platform. From the product and the development side, we've been, busy at work trying to build and fill these gaps. Initially, when we started out with the thought process, it was to automate and make things faster and easier. But as and when we learned from our clients of where the pain points of adoption are, we realized that we want to keep the users in their comfort space and in their context without having for them to leave their context and come into a new application. So a lot of things that we will show today will be also a demonstration of how we can keep your users in a space that they're comfortable with, while taking advantage of all of the processes, centralizing everything into one single platform, and thereby providing complete control of your access management. So with that, let me share my screen and we'll get started. I hope you can all see my screen. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we'll start as Aditi started off her slides. We'll start with zero-touch onboarding. This is what we're calling zero-touch onboarding. Basically, what this means is, let's say you have this is the screen that I'm on is Bamboo HR, which is basically an HRMS application. So let's say you come into this application, you have a new candidate, and let's say you add the candidate in your HR tool, right? So new employee, adding some employee name. And let's say we have an email address for the employee. And all right. So the employee record is created, and let's say we say that the employee's hiring date is, let's say, 2 days from now, right? This is all you will be expected to do within your HR system while you are going through the process of recruitment. So with this done, what happens then is, from the Zluri side, we will have integrations with all of these tools, especially your SSOs and HRMS tools. So either whichever is the tool where you create the employee first, we can run the onboardings based off of that particular tool. In this particular case, Bamboo HR. So basically what would happen is I'm on the audit logs page on Zluri right now. At various intervals, we trigger integration to that HRMS tool, and this would look like this. And as soon as the integration pulls in the most current recent data, you will see that it says that this is the integration, and this event has been registered and somebody's department changed, right? So similarly, you will have one of the event types is marked for onboarding. So what we just did by providing a hiring date is basically will be read as that the user is now marked for onboarding, and the onboarding date will be the date that you would have set up on the HR tool. So once an event like this is registered on Zluri, we can use such events to run automated playbooks and automated onboarding actions. So we'll quickly go over that and show what that is. So when you come to workflows and to onboarding, let's say we have a playbook called complete onboarding. Whenever we want to edit a playbook, we'll have to unpublish it. And once you are done editing, you can publish the playbook back. So this is basically what would happen. So I'll also show you how you set up a trigger in a rule quickly. But before that, these are the set of applications into which you want to onboard your user and provide them access. Right? So this is the onboarding list of applications and the actions that you want to do within each of these applications. Here you have the basic actions such as add user, which for some of the applications where the SCIM option is available, will also be available through other SSOs. But then, as Aditi was mentioning, we provide additional actions, and that could be that you want to add a user to a group. You want to send a welcome email to that user. So this is like a manual task where you can set that you want this to be assigned via email, and you want to send such and such email, right? So there could be manual tasks like that within an application. There could also be applications where you are adding them to a specific workspace, a specific channel, or when it comes to actually the SCIM enabled applications. So let's say you have Okta already being used within your organization, and you have Okta-based groups that you created. What you can do is you can come and say that I want to add this user to these many Okta groups, which give them the access to birthright applications, let's say, right? So that could be adding, the user to Zoom application, Slack application, things like that. So you would have created all of those within your Okta groups, and you basically come in here and you just say add user to those groups, and that SCIM action will also be taken care of. Track everything being tracked in one place. That's the goal of this. Yes, it also happens on Okta, but it all gets tracked together, because here you can do not just the SCIM ones, but also deeper actions, and an application such as Zoho Invoice does not have SCIM actions. So when you don't have SCIM actions, we still have direct integrations to automate adding that user to such applications as well. This is just one example, but there are many like that. So non-SCIM based actions are also there. And finally, there could also be applications where there is no API available and it needs to be manual. So even that you can configure within Zluri, so that there are two things that happen when you do this. One is that, let's say you wanted to assign this manual task via Slack to somebody who has to then go manually provision that application. You can do that. Or if you want to do that via Jira or an ITSM tool, you can do that with Jira. Or the traditional means, which is basically send an email to the person that needs to go provide access. So this is one thing where we will still be tracking who gave access to the user when within Zluri, but the user would do it the way they are doing it today for the manual action, right? So that is one point. The other point about this is we also have what we call as post actions, which is basically it says update in Zluri, right? So this is by default always checked. So for any application where you are still adding a user manually, at least in Zluri, that link, the association of the user and that application is maintained. So in the future, when you want to go check, okay, this application doesn't have any APIs, I can't find what users are there on this application unless I go into each such specific application to find out. You can still find that out in Zluri if you are using Zluri for all your onboarding. So that is one point that I wanted to make there. So yeah, so you have direct integrations, you have SCIM integrations, you have deep actions, and you have manual actions. All of that covered within Zluri, right? So let's go to automation rules, and let me show you how this would trigger. Let's see this. Okay, within automation rules, you can name your automation rule the way you see it appropriate. Here, we've just called it onboarding all employees. And that basically means that, we want to use this as a constant playbook that is for all employees. We can also maintain other specific automation rules that provide niche applications for each department, right? So that can be a separate thing. Here, the trigger will basically saying user is marked for onboarding. There are also plenty of other triggers that we have. Let me just show that quickly. Yeah, so there you go. User is added to a group, user status changes, departments change, user is removed from some group, marked for onboarding, the reporting manager change. So there are plenty of trigger points that can trigger a automation rule. So let's keep it at user is marked for onboarding because we're talking about onboarding here. And let's say the user status, let's say is active. So when these conditions are met, then basically what we want to do is we want to run a playbook. Let's say I had a playbook that says, send a personal email to that user, and we can say that, we want to send that immediately, and or we can send it at the onboarding date and time. And then you can, if you want to give some time gap between that and when you actually onboard and give access to the user to various applications, you can add a delay. So let's say we add a 2-day delay from the onboarding date time. And then let's say we add a playbook for complete onboarding that we just saw, right? So you can set a automation rule like this. You save the rule, and rule is saved. You go back. You can set the rule status to active, which it already is. If it is not, you can just set it to active status. And once the rule is active, basically what happens is, like I showed you on the audit logs, when an event is registered that a user is marked for onboarding, it automatically kicks off this trigger, and it will kick off the rule that you just set up. This is also can be what all rules had run in the past can be found in run logs, and also if it is scheduled to be run in a couple of days. For example, we've been marking Aditi to be marked for onboarding on 17th of February, right? So this has already triggered, but it's not run yet because the date when we want to run this is 17th Feb. So that comes and sits in your scheduled run, right? So this is how you can manage all of your onboarding within the context of Zluri. Okay? So the next thing that I want to touch upon is once you do onboarding, the next part of it is mid-life cycle change. When it comes to mid-life cycle changes, there are two things. One is you can either, maybe somebody is going through a role change or a department change. And the other is that somebody is actually requesting for a new application access. So access request that Aditi referred to. Right? So we'll quickly look at the department change, let's say, right? For example. So here we have somebody who is moving from, let's say, the marketing department to a product team. So there we obviously don't need Salesforce access to that person anymore. We are removing all of the user from all of the groups that they are in Salesforce, and then we're deactivating the user. At the same time, we are adding the user to Jira, which is where we track all our development effort, etc. We're adding them to specific projects within Jira if that is relevant to that playbook. So we create all of this, and then you basically save the playbook. I'll not go into the details again in the interest of time, but basically this is how you would set up a playbook for department change. And then the automation rule is again a separate automation rule. Here, as we see, we've said that this is an automation rule for change from marketing to product department. This gets triggered when a user department changes. The previous department is marketing, current department is product. Then you run the marketing to product. Okay? So simple enough. You can save the rule. This is also probably more applicable when you go through a more common use case of a role change where somebody is getting promoted to a higher role and they need to have a higher license. Let's say they were all on Zoom Basic, but now with becoming a team manager or whatever, they need a Zoom Pro license. Okay? So you can set those specific things up for the repeated use cases that you come across. So this is mid-life cycle changes. I'll touch upon the access requests in a bit, but we will quickly also look at offboarding use cases. For offboarding. So offboarding can be done in a couple of different ways. One is this complete offboarding, where you basically would create a playbook that includes pretty much every one of the applications that is there in your org. And again, like Aditi was pointing out, if you have like data transfer that needs to happen before you offboard someone, you can include those kind of actions as well wherever they're available. There is again SCIM-based, removing a user from various applications through Okta if that SCIM is enabled, or to remove them from selected groups within Okta. So things like that can also be done. These actions are available. And one thing to visit here is, let's say something like a manual task where we're trying to remove a user from, let's say, manually, but we want to keep this within the ITSM tool that, let's say, your organization follows. So maybe every manual task that you're taking, you want to track within your ITSM tool, so you can take various metrics, etc., from your ITSM tool. So there we have integrations available with Jira. You can set up all of the attributes within Jira, like you can call out the Jira project, what issue type, what is the priority of this, what is the summary is basically going to be the title of your Jira ticket that gets created. And then, the description can be what they are supposed to be doing. Assignee is the person that gets assigned the Jira ticket. Okay? So you can have manual tasks that become a Jira ticket. You can also have manual tasks if you just want this to go in a more messenger space where it is quicker. We also have this available to be sent over Slack, right? Anyway, so this is one way of offboarding. The other way of offboarding is we can go to directory users. Here, first thing to call out here is the visibility aspect that Aditi was mentioning. So let's say, you have a set of employees within your application, but you also have external users. We provide visibility of who your external users are versus who your employees are. That can be set up based off of the domain, email domain of the user. So if you have marked certain specific domains as to be treated as employees, we can consider that. Or we can also do verified sources, right? So let's say every user coming from Okta should be marked as an employee. That could be a rule, and we can take that into consideration and categorize your users between employees and external users. Anyway, so let's say we go into the employees. We mark, let's say, this one, and you say go run a playbook or do an offboarding playbook. So that is if you want to run a specific playbook, or if you want to create an offboarding playbook, you can also do that here. So that user will be now marked for offboarding. Right. The next thing that I want to show within this offboarding space is there you go. And then when you click on that, offboard now, it will automatically generate the list of applications that Zluri has identified the user to be using. Right. So once you mark the user for offboarding, you can come and you can provide additional details within this playbook, and you sometimes just have to edit the task. This is a manual task in this case, so you have to provide the necessary parameters. Here the assignee is missing, so I'll say assign to the reporting manager, save the task. So similarly, you need to basically provide anywhere where there is missing information, it will show you this red exclamation mark, and you need to fill out that. Once you fill those things out, you can just run this task right away. So the offboarding happens immediately, right? This particular form of offboarding, where it is ad hoc, can be very helpful, especially when you are offboarding contractors, right? So that way you don't have to go figure out what all applications they have access to. We are keeping track of all of that within Zluri, and we go create this playbook for you. So you can just quickly go through the offboarding of specific users. The other thing that I want to call out here is give me 1 second. Let's actually look at that. Yeah, so this is an example of the ITSM task that I said, right? So when we have run the user to be removed from Miro, this is one of the applications I was showing. So this is how the Jira ticket looks like. This is the automatically created Jira ticket. This was assigned to Mark Davis, and since then it's been marked as done. And then there is bidirectional sync between Jira and our task. So that's one other thing that I wanted to go back here. Tasks, right? So anything that is manually assigned, whether it be through Jira, through email, through Slack, there is a unified board here on Zluri to track all of the outstanding tasks that have been created, right? So what would happen is any task that is pending would come sit in this pending task space, and the user can either come directly to Zluri and say that, this task has been completed and mark as complete, or they can go into Slack if that is what they had selected and mark the task as completed on Slack. I'll show it to you on Slack as well. Or if it is a task that was generated to an ITSM, then you would just go mark it as complete within the ITSM. I think we should have the example that we had there for ITSM. Yeah, anyway, I think it's buried deeper. Yeah, so remove user, yeah, this is the one, Mark Davis, that we saw through offboarding workflows. That was the manual action that was created for that particular user. And the Miro was the application, right? So this is the user manager Miro, and it's been marked as completed. So when we updated the task as done on Jira, it basically flows back and marks this task as completed on Zluri, and vice versa. Anyway, so this is all about quick time check. We have 10 minutes left. Let me quickly show you how this looks on Slack. All right. One of the things on Slack quickly is you can, in terms of midlife cycle management, your employees can request for applications directly from Slack. So you would just do the Slack request, and that will pop up. Yeah, there. Here you can select an application. You can say, I want access to Zoom. And then, you can say how long you want the access for. You select your application role, license, etc. And then you can submit your request. And basically what that does is, you would have set up, how the request needs to go through. The request basically comes up to an approval from however you've set it up. So the approval can come into Slack if the Slack is what you've selected. So you would get an approval request saying that somebody requested for the application and they requested on this particular date and this is the duration for which they need. If they have additional details that are being provided, that will be showing here as well. You can approve or reject the request. Once the request is approved, if this request needs to be manually provisioned, a task can get generated where they'll ask for whoever is the owner of the app to go provision the user for that app. So that task can be marked as completed by that user. And finally, what you will get is that once all the provisioning is done, the user will get a message saying that now you can start using the application. This is also available for the provisioning and deprovisioning is also available in through automations. I'll not go over all of that today because we have a separate webinar specifically targeted towards that. The last thing that I would like to show before we leave a few minutes for questions is access reviews. Give me one second. Yeah, so access reviews is going to be like this. You can come into access reviews. You can start a new certification. Let's say test certification owner. Next applications. Application. So you can select whatever might be some of your critical applications that need periodic reviews, and this will generate all of the users that are in the application will be shown here, and it will generate the basically the list that you can go through and go through the review for an application. So this is basically creating a campaign. Once the campaign is created, let me go to an existing campaign. Let's see. Campaign. So when you go to an existing campaign that has been started, it will show you the status of how many are approved, how many revoked, how many are pending. In this case, it's not started yet. All the records are pending, and you can go to the review stage. So when you go into the application, it also shows insights of how many users of the total have not used the application over whatever amount of time. Ex-employees who still have access, you can go to that and like bulk select them and say that they all need to be their access needs to be revoked, right? So so you can take those actions right from here. And there is also external users who have access. So you can go and selectively, decide, what needs to happen with these external users, right? So those actions can also be taken in bulk or individually, right? So the reviewer can go and take all of these actions. And finally, what that does is it will give you a report of the access review that contains, what you did with all of the users, how many were approved, who were slated to be revoked, modified, and if the remediation was completed, when the remediation was done, so on and so forth. Okay. So yeah, with that, I'll conclude this demo. If you guys have any questions, we are open to taking that now. Again, as Aditi pointed out, both access reviews and access requests will have a separate session. We wanted to cover these in a very small detail today to show that the 360-degree coverage that you have when it comes to access management within Zluri. Okay? I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Rohit, for that amazing demo. I know we have like 4 or 5 minutes left. So if you all have any questions, we are happy to take those. You all can put that into the chat channel. And while you'll mull over the questions, we also want to share some of the amazing customer feedback that we have gotten for our access management module. As you can see here, it's been a game changer for our customers when it comes to several actions like automating onboarding, to securely deprovisioning users, managing access requests, access reviews, so on and so forth. And we are super excited for all of you all to also give it a shot and try out Zluri for yourself for managing access for all your applications in one single platform. So yes, if you all have any questions, we're happy to take those. Okay, we have one question which is coming from Dan. So he's asking us, okay, does access request work with MS Teams? Rohit, would you like to take that?
Sure, Aditi. MS Teams and Slack were top contenders to provide this functionality on. We started with Slack. MS Teams is coming soon. We have planned to put this together in Q2 as in April, May, June. So we do expect to have the same notifications to be available on MS Teams in the second quarter this year.
Got it. We have one more question, Rohit. So that is around, they're asking, what are the upcoming new features planned for access management?
Yeah, in terms of upcoming new features, one of the things that we are trying to do is, I showed you how we bring in, when you create a user in Bamboo HR and how, when our integration runs, we will bring all of that in. We're going to make that instant onboarding, offboarding. We are building on webhooks so that as soon as you mark somebody, add somebody, some new user in one of these applications, we'll be able to read that quite immediately. And so that, if you are doing something in a hurry and, you want to onboard a user today, you're not waiting for our sync to run, but it'll run instantaneously. So that's something that's coming up very soon. The other thing that is also in works is what is that? Email. So when you let's say you start to create a user today, a lot of times, especially people who are on the Google workspace, who use Google workspace, they have to go create the user email before they can go launch off a playbook to onboard the user for the various other applications. We are also coming up with automatically creating the user email based off of the format that you follow within your organization. And that will also be automated. So it will be truly zero-touch onboarding to that sense. There are many other features that are coming up over the next quarter and the rest of the year, but I just touched upon something that's coming very soon.
Great. Thank you, Rohit, for that. I know we have run out of time for our webinar, but once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. We will be sharing a recording of this webinar with all of you shortly after. And of course, if you all have any questions, if you all would love to know more about our access management platform or about any of the other capabilities that Zluri offers when it comes to SaaS management or access reviews, you all can get in touch with us. And we would be happy to schedule personalized demos for you all and give you all a much deeper view of the platform. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. We hope to see you soon on some of our upcoming webinars as well. Thank you.